time and thought to yourself, God, that was shit. I desire to end my own life. Now, not to name any names, but I bet you there's a common theme behind the movies you've had that reaction to. Sometimes there's a deal breaker when we say no. That's not cricket. You are not a good story. And what is this deal breaker, you ask? Well, it's probably one of the oldest rules in storytelling, and if you don't stick to it, you will alienate your entire audience. The principle is called show, don't tell. A story has to tell us about the main characters, or we don't give a shit. Now, they have to be clever, or unique, or interesting somehow, and writers go two ways about introducing them. They can show us, or they can tell us. The following is an example of telling. As Above, So Below is about an archaeologist called Scarlet, who we know is very clever and interesting because she says,
My name is Scarlet Marlowe, and I'm a professor at University College London. I have a PhD in urban archaeology, a master's in chemistry, and another PhD in symbology. I'm also fluent in 4 spoken languages and 2 dead ones.
Yes, that's certainly something any normal person would say in conversation. Now we give a shit about her. How else could you do this? Well, you can actually show the audience how interesting a character is instead, rather than just getting them to brag about themselves. This is the opening scene from Rear Window, about a photographer with a broken leg. We know he's a photographer with a broken leg because we see this. And this. At no point does his girlfriend come in and say, Hello L.B. Jeffries, protagonist and acclaimed photographer, a man currently with a broken leg, how is your day going thus far? You can show us, or you can tell us. Which sentence is more powerful? Debbie has dubious predilections of a sexual nature, or Debbie fucked the entire hockey team. Thrice. If you tell, you've already handed your conclusion to the audience. If you show, you let them do the work, and that's 1,000 times more powerful. You can tell us a monster is very scary, or you can show us bloody remains and let us scare ourselves. There is no other genre which we are less forgiving about this principle being overlooked in than science fiction. The core of science fiction is a feeling of wonder or amazement at new, possible worlds. You can tell someone they should be amazed at this world, or you can show them why and let them do the amazing for themselves, like a big boy. For example, Children of Men versus Prometheus. Both ask big questions, and both focus on humans in difficult situations. Children of Men is about a world in which women have become infertile. The world is shit and falling apart. We know the world is shit and falling apart because look, there's a bomb and graffiti, and the main character is an alcoholic, and no one has any fun anymore. We're slowly shown what living in the world is like, and we see how horrible the lives of the characters are now that the end times are here, and as a result, we give a shit. Decisions happen naturally, without us being spoon-fed the reasons behind them. Characters behave in a way that we might, given similar circumstances. Prometheus is about mankind searching for its maker, and the maker that made its maker. We know this is true because one of the characters says,
Not a map, an invitation.
From whom?
We also know it's about Earth being threatened because one of the characters says,
Yannick, if you don't stop it, there won't be any home to go back to.
We also know it's about attempting to open doors because one of the characters says,
I'm attempting to open the door.
This is a weird example because the guy who wrote Prometheus also wrote Alien and Blade Runner, 2 of the greatest films ever made, that are all showing and no telling instead. Look, this is Deckard. He might be a robot, but we don't know because no one explicitly tells us so because we don't have to be told, ignoring the director's cut. He lives in a world with other robots. Isn't that interesting? Look at all the interesting things. He behaves believably, like one of us, focusing on things we care about, like living and getting by, and robot pussy, or alien. Even when the crew are confronted with an extraterrestrial killing machine, at no point does someone break into completely unprompted exposition about what the meaning of life is, or what the implications of their situation are for the whole of humanity. Because humans don't talk like that. Instead they talk about getting paid, or boredom, or their lives, because that's how humans talk, and it means we can draw our own conclusions. Because we're shown that they're real humans, not shitty one-dimensional counterfeits, solely there for the purpose of the writer telling us how clever he is. Or Ex Machina and Transcendence. Both were about AI, both very ambitious movies. One was fantastic, one was dog shit. One set up the world with a voiceover at the beginning and told you how awful everything was. The other just showed you the world and invited you to care of your own volition, because you're not profoundly retarded and you can form your own opinions. Stories have to feel at least a bit like real life. Unless they're gravely schizophrenic, no one in real life just broadcasts what they're thinking all the time, or what they're going to do next. And if your characters do this, then we don't really believe they're people. How do we know Fallout 3 is a wasteland? Or that GLaDOS is a bitch? Or that Guybrush Threepwood is an idiot? Or that Ned Stark is noble? Or that Charles Foster Kane is clever? Or that Darth Vader's mean? Or that Rick's an alcoholic? because we're shown these qualities, not told about them. You can do almost anything in storytelling. Tell it back to front, skip bits out, make it silent, use an unreliable narrator, centre it around a mystery, throw in a midget, whatever. But if you expect us to